The action plan worksheet. So ideally, you have already filled out your personalized action plan with kind of a comprehensive overview of everything that you want to work on, um, based on the principles of the curriculum. And then you've identified what's the first thing that you want to start with. Hopefully, you've also read through or listened through all the tips about how to change habits and what all goes into that. And so that makes you ready to start putting that plan into action. So whatever habit that you said that you wanted to start with, you can use that as an example and to help you start to implement it with this worksheet. And then you can use this worksheet again for anything else that you want to implement in the future. So whatever that new habit is that you want to create, that's the thing you're going to answer first. The new habit I want to create is, you write that in that box. And then you write the old habit that you need to get rid of to help me implement the new habit. And then what specific steps? It says 2 I need to take. It's a typo, y'all. Listen, the level of perfectionism that exists within me is very bothered by any and all typos. It doesn't matter. Do you understand what that's asking you? Of course you do. It does not matter. And you know what Abraham always says? The Cherokee way is that we embrace mistakes and errors, and we see it as part of the beauty of the project. So we're not going to worry about going through the steps to change that. We're just going to let it be what it is. And I'm going to practice what I preach. And I'm going to not let perfectionism get me. So obviously what it's asking is, what steps do I need to take to implement the new habit? So then write those out. How can I remind myself of the new habit? How can I make the old habit difficult and unappealing? How can I make the new habit easy and rewarding? How can I create a social support network to help me stay on track with my new habit? So to give you an example of what this would look like based on some of the stuff I've talked about that I am working on. So the new habit I want to create is to find natural ways of stimulating my cognitive abilities instead of using caffeine. The old habit that I want to get rid of to help me implement the new habit is reliance on caffeine, you drinking caffeine. The specific steps that I need to take to implement the new habit is to, 1, avoid buying the matcha. I can't do coffee because too much caffeine will send me into mania oblivion, and we don't want that. So, um, have to drink matcha, which has less caffeine than like pop or coffee. But anyway, so I would not buy those anymore, not put them in my house so that it's not easy to grab it. And I would need to also identify more natural ways that I would like to replace that with instead. So instead of, before I start a task, going and getting or reaching for a matcha, I can turn on some music and dance instead, or I can go for a walk or a jog. So for the next one, how can I remind myself of the new habit? Now that I've identified that I need to not put matcha around me and I need to do more natural things instead, I can then put on it maybe on my fridge or near my computer somewhere that's, either associated with me drinking caffeine or associated with me doing tasks, put sticky notes or reminders on there that say, dance, turn on music, go for a jog, like to remind me what I'm supposed to do instead. That way, if I'm about to go work on something and my brain goes, need caffeine, then I'll see a reminder that says, no, you don't need caffeine. You just need to get your body moving. And when you get your body moving, you get your brain moving. So, and then how can I make the old habit difficult and unappealing? One is to not have it in the house so that every time I want it, it's going to be a whole thing where I have to make sure I have time to go to the store and blah, blah, blah. Like I make it difficult for me to get to it. If I just have it here all the time, it's going to be really easy to go to it. Making it unappealing, I can also, like on my fridge or somewhere that's associated with caffeine, like write a list of all the things that caffeine does to me, right? It raises my cortisol, and goodness, if we made a list of all the consequences of having high cortisol, that would be a very, very long list of things that I don't want to deal with anymore. So maybe putting a list somewhere in my visual awareness of like all the consequences of caffeine. So that maybe on my door or something, so that if I have the urge to go to the store and get a matcha, on the door, it'll say, hey, do you want to raise your cortisol in this way and like have all these negative consequences? And then I'll be like, no, you're right. I'm going to go for a jog instead and put on some good music. And then how can I make the new habit easy and rewarding? Well, this one is, I guess, it's already easy because it's something I can do for free. Like dancing and walking and jogging is something I don't have to uh, pay for, and I can do it kind of in my space already. But I can make it rewarding by putting on fun music that I like to listen to that gives me dopamine. And being outside is rewarding for me. I don't like being cooped up inside all the time. So, and then how can I create a social support network to help me stay on track with my new habit? I can utilize the friends that I'm closest to tell them like when I am really craving caffeine, or if they're with me and they see me trying to rely on that, for them to just have gentle reminders to be like, hey, do you really want to do that? Do you maybe want to go do something active instead of going to get a matcha? Or just, do check-ins with them when I'm having cravings so they can help remind me that I can make a different decision. I don't have to keep making that same decision. So that's just an example. You can fill it out with whatever you want, but the goal of it is whatever habit you're wanting to implement, to kind of use this worksheet as a way to understand and make a plan of how you're going to do that. And then once you've changed that habit, like whatever that first one is that you identified that you wanted to work on from your personalized action plan, then implement that, and then you can come back and go to that plan again and say, okay, now that I've, done that first thing, what's the next thing that I want to tackle? And then you can fill out the worksheet again for that thing so that it kind of helps guide you in what you need to actually do to implement that, to make it a reality.